Look closer. The faces you see on these ancient canvases are not just colors, not just brush and paint. They are voices, silent, but alive. Behind every faded pigment is a heartbeat that once thundered. Behind every shadow of paint is a person who laughed, who feared, who loved, who dreamed. These portraits are not decorations. They are frozen souls. And tonight, we will walk into their silence, to uncover stories that history has tried to bury, but which still breathe through paint. Every brushstroke is a memory. Every painted hand once touched something real. Every gaze was once alive. And though centuries have passed, these faces whisper to us, "We were here. Do not forget us." The canvas is not just art. It is a door to the past, a door to the human heart. And as you and I step closer, we will hear their stories. Stories of ambition, stories of betrayal, stories of survival, stories of love so deep that it defied death itself. Tonight, history will not be read, it will be felt. Margaret Beaufort, A Mother's Prayer, approximately 850 words. The year was 1485. England bled from the endless wars of the Roses. For decades, crowns were won and lost in rivers of blood. In the shadows of this chaos stood a woman, her name, Margaret Beaufort. At first glance, her portrait looks ordinary, hands folded in prayer, eyes lowered in devotion, the picture of piety. But portraits lie, or rather, they hide. Behind those folded hands was not only prayer, there was calculation. Behind those lowered eyes was not just faith, there was fire. Margaret had one dream, one obsession: to see her son, Henry Tudor, crowned King of England. She was widowed as a teenager. She bore Henry when she was barely more than a child herself. And from that day onward, she lived only for him. Imagine her holding her infant son, whispering into his tiny ear, "Survive, my child. One day the crown will be yours." But dreams have a price, and Margaret paid it. She plotted in secret. She navigated betrayals and suspicions. Every ally could turn traitor. Every whisper could mean death. Yet her resolve never broke. Her faith was iron, her will sharper than any sword. And when Henry Tudor defeated Richard III at Bosworth Field, rising as King Henry VII, it was not just his victory, it was hers. Look again at her portrait, those hands pressed together. Do you see prayer? Yes, but also strategy. Do you see devotion? Yes, but also steel. Her face is calm, but every line carries storms endured, storms of betrayal, fear, sacrifice. Margaret Beaufort reminds us, history is not only written by kings, it is carried by mothers, mothers who whisper prayers that move empires. Edward V, The Silent Cry of a Child King, approximately 800 words. Now let your eyes drift to another canvas, the face of a boy, pale, fragile, innocent. His name, Edward V. He was just 12 years old when fate placed a crown upon his head. But instead of ruling, he was taken to the Tower of London. With him, his younger brother. History remembers them as the princes in the tower. But history does not remember their voices. Look closer at Edward's painted face. Do you see power? Number. Do you see arrogance? Number. You see fear. The fear of a child who should have been playing in gardens, not locked in stone walls. The fear of a boy who should have been learning books and games, not facing daggers of ambition. The whispers say they were murdered, their small bodies never found, their innocence erased by hunger for power. And yet, the portrait remains. His eyes do not speak of rule, they speak of desperation. His lips do not carry commands, they carry silence. Edward's canvas is not just a boy. It is a scream, silent but eternal. It whispers, "I was more than a title. I was a child, and I was afraid." And in that silence, his humanity endures. Love. It has built empires. and it has destroyed them. On one canvas, we see the elegant face of Anne Boleyn, her eyes dark, her smile mysterious. To the world she was a queen, to Henry VIII she was passion, desire, obsession. But passion is a double-edged sword. Anne gave Henry a daughter, Elizabeth. But she failed to give him the one thing he craved, a son. And for that, her fate was sealed, accused of betrayal, condemned by whispers. She walked to the executioner's block with grace. Think of her hands, once held in love, now bound for death. Think of her eyes, once filled with hope, now staring into the end. Her portrait does not scream, it whispers, whispers of love too deep, whispers of a spirit too fierce to be erased. And though she died, her daughter, Elizabeth I, rose to be one of England's greatest rulers. Through Elizabeth, Anne lives forever, defiance painted into immortality. But Anne was not the only queen to pay love's price, another canvas. The face of a young girl, barely 16. Her name, Catherine Howard. She was Henry VIII's fifth wife, painted as a bride, adorned in